Welcome to episode 3 of 28 Days of Color. Today's topic, color in sororities and fraternities. We'll start off with Monsieur Stephanos giving us the history of the 13th Amendment, and then you'll see from Ra'Niesha and Adriel Bratton in an interview about the sororities and fraternities therein. Stay tuned.
On February 1st, 1865, Illinois became the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment, and with it changed the lives of over 4 million enslaved Africans living across the United States at this time. It was first proposed by Representative James Mitchell Ashley of Ohio and was also backed up by representatives from other states such as James F. Wilson of Iowa or Charles Sumner of Massachusetts or Pennsylvania's Thaddeus Stevens. So we can see that it was backed up by not only just one representative, but multiple people across the nation believed in the abolition of slavery. The bill was signed by President Abraham Lincoln, and it states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place of subject due to its jurisdiction. What this means is that slavery across the nation and across the United States territories had effectively been banned. The only other form where it can exist is through when one is convicted of a crime. The bill was signed January 31st, 1865, and it was the follow-up to the Emancipation Proclamation, because the Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery across the nation, but at this time the United States was divided, and so you had the northern states and you had the southern states, and the southern states, many of them seceded, and for some of these states they did not recognize the Emancipation Proclamation due to the splitting of the country and the nation at said time. The Emancipation Proclamation called for an end to slavery, but because there were several states that were part of the Confederacy, they did not recognize the Emancipation Proclamation. And so after the Civil War, where many of these states had already effectively been defeated and the war had ended, many of these states did end up having to ratify the 13th Amendment. And although the 13th Amendment had been passed into law, it took several states well into the 20th century to ratify the laws. States such as Delaware, which didn't ratify the 13th Amendment until 1901, or states like Kentucky, which didn't ratify until 1967, all the way up until this modern age, where Mississippi didn't ratify the law until 1995, but effectively didn't fully ratify it until 2013. And despite ending in the 1800s and going into the 20th century, many states still tried to circumvent and find ways around the slavery laws. Peonage was another way in which slave owners tried to effectively establish a form of slavery without calling them slaves. Peonage kept many of those former slaves on the land and indebted to their former slaves' masters, and so many slave masters would either give them loans, or they would tell them that because you were working on my land, you have to owe me in some type of way. There was some type of, in many forms, in many ways, many of those former slaves, although they were free, had been indebted to their former slave masters. And so in doing so, slave masters tried to keep them on the land and working on the land and indebted so that they couldn't leave. And it had ended 2 years later in 1867, where it became illegal, but you can still see it existing in forms such as sharecropping, and sharecropping has not been illegalized, and it is still legal, and in some states actually still practice it till this day. And although slavery has ended, we can see it still existing in other forms, such as the judicial system, where it has been exploited. As we have stated before, those who have been convicted of a crime can still effectively become slaves to the state, where they are property of the state and they must do labor for the states. Thus, those who are in jail and who are constantly in jail, and those who have been primarily affected by this, Africans and those of African descent, African American people, are the ones who are still victims of the prison industrial complex and the prison system. Thus, we are still in a sense kept as slaves. And so despite nearly over a century and a half of ending, we see the legacy of slavery and the passing of the 13th Amendment still existing in modern day.
Welcome back to 28 Days of Color presented by S.T.E.A.M Academy. Today, I am here to talk to you about sororities and fraternities and their effect on the Black community. Hello, how are you? Tell us who you are.
Hello, my name is Ra'Niesha Bratton, and I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
And I am Adriel Bratton, member of Omega Psi Phi.
You gotta be out.
Right. It's nice to meet you both. Thank you for being here today. First question I want to ask you is, the name of your sorority, which you told me, and then how long you've been with this chapter, with your organization.
Yeah, so the name of my sorority is Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I am an alumni member of San Bernardino Riverside area alumni, and I have been a Delta for almost 15 years. Can you believe it? I was originally initiated in a collegiate chapter, which was California State University, Fresno. And I was initiated as a member of Xi Chi.
Omega Psi Phi. I am currently with the Pi Road chapter out in Riverside, serving Riverside and San Bernardino areas. And I came through the Tall chapter in Compton, California. And I've been a member of the organization for about the same amount of time. We came around the same time.
We actually crossed the same year.
Yeah.
How did you find out about these organizations, and what inevitably made you want to pledge them?
I would say probably movies back in the day. I think House Party, those were kind of some of the movies.
For me, it started actually back in high school. I'm the first of 3 generations to go to college or know what college is. But it was actually a high school friend. Her grandmother was a member of the sorority. And this is when I didn't really have any information about what it was. And so my memory was seeing ladies who weren't her family come and pick her up and take her to her doctor's appointments and do Walmart trips for her. And I would say, in our Black families, we know who our family is, right? And even our friends' family. So when I seen that, and I seen an example of like community outside of just our family and women supporting women, I knew I had to be a part of it. And so that just so happened to be women of Delta Sigma Theta. So it actually found me. I sought them out, but they actually found me too. I actually had a family member whose best friend was a Delta at the college that I went to for undergrad. And she kind of showed me the ropes and took me through Summer Bridge and kind of like got me introduced, not just to the sorority, but college life. So that was another example of just an amazing Delta. And she was a member of Xi Chi. So she's my big sister. She kind of introduced me to college, and just seeing Black women support each other and really empower each other. I wanted to be a part of it, but also, wanted to pay it forward.
What are some of the other ways that the sororities and fraternities get involved in the community? We were just talking about how they found you.
Yeah, we do a lot. So we're a part of the Divine Nine, which is all Black letter Greek organizations. Organization is Sisterhood, Scholarship, and Service. And so we are college-educated women founded on the campus of Howard University. Back in 1913, we just had a 108-year and a Founders Day of just service to our community. So we were founded originally just because there wasn't a space for us. We weren't allowed in other groups or, fraternities and sororities on the campuses that we were in. And so we created our own. And not only did we create our own, but we wanted to effectively promote change within our community. So some of our programs that we offer to the community and the ways that we give back is our Delta Academy, which are our young girls, and they range from elementary going into junior high. And then our Delta Gyms, are our girls transitioning from junior high to high school. And we work with them to build up their self-esteem, to give them college readiness skills, to give them, scholarships and leadership training, just to build them up, because we notice in our community, we want to give our girls a voice. And so we not only mentor them, but we work alongside them with other youth so that they can have their own internal network.
And what about you? What are some of your community experiences?
Oh my goodness. I think one of the first events that I ever ran into some of the bros was a voter registration drive. They caught me in the middle of a mall.
Okay.
And, it was like, hey, register to vote. I'm like, okay, go from there. And I kind of expressed interest in from there. Another thing we did was a scholarship ball. I think at that scholarship ball that I first went to, I was still interested in that. They gave about $75,000 in scholarships to a lot of young men and women that year, and that was pretty interesting to go from there.
For someone that's going into it, what would be some of those benefits that they will find being a part of one of your organizations?
I would say a huge network and extended family, because a lot, like I could go literally anywhere in the United States, even, overseas, and I could find my sisters. And not only can I find them, but they will show me around, they will host me. The networking front, I'm in the alumni side. So, being that nervous girl coming out of college, like, okay, I'm a real adult now, like what's next? They have been a huge part of transitioning me into my careers and just giving me resume advice and interview advice and just life experience. Being a mom, you just have a huge network of support. And I think in the Black community specifically, it is so necessary. I can attest to being a part of my beautiful sorority to help and to develop me and build me up into the woman that I am today.
I mean, even one of my last jobs, I went in and I had Omega Psi Phi on my resume, and the guy looked at me, and it wasn't even directly, but he looked at my resume, he saw it, and he said, "Man, one of my friends are in this organization," and I was like, "Really?" So I asked him what school, and he named the school. And he narrowed down the time frame. I called his name out on the first try. And he was like, shut the door, hold on. So, it was funny though. So we had a, cool little interview. I ended up getting a job, and that was, it's kind of one of the icebreakers that we were able to have. And also raising your aspirations, man. When you start seeing these guys making a ton of money and they're vice presidents and presidents of their companies, or starting their own businesses, and going back for their master's and doctorate degrees, you start getting your motivation, and you're like, wait a minute, if this guy right here that I know I was hanging out with can do it, I can do it too. So, kind of put me back into a path on my master's degree. So,
how are you guys able to connect with, people who are entering your organization? Do you guys ever get to see the freshmen that are coming in?
Well, you mentioned a good point where you said it goes on and on and on. So something unique about Black Letter Greek organizations are when we become members, it is a lifetime commitment. Any of the organizations, there's different stages to you and different stages that you can commit to and grow into. So I mentioned collegiate, and then you have alumni. So collegiate is the younger adults that are on college campuses. Some of the ways we would meet people, or they would meet us, is we did the same. We would have community service events, health awareness events. I mean, they range from HIV/AIDS to, like you mentioned, voter registration. So we have a 5-point thrust, and this 5-point thrust kind of guides us into the programs that we developed, undergrad and for alumni. And that's how so recognize us, but not just that, they become familiar with the work we do within their neighborhood. So they're used to our representation. And so it really does matter, because, even now, I just want to highlight, we have our first female I have to give her a clap. Female, and you know, she is a Black woman, Black vice president, and who would have thought, you know? So the sky is the limit, and just, you know, continuing to strive in whatever area that you're interested in. We just want to continue to cultivate that and encourage that, not only as just members of our organization, but just as, you know, Black people. Father's Day, and all of the fathers get together with their kids, and wives can come too, camping, fishing, and everybody gets together, and it is really, you know, it denounces that stereotype of Black fathers are not present.
Learn how to just be in open air,
talk,
play around, talk. It's amazing how fast the time goes by during that weekend, that whole.
Yeah, because it's a full weekend. We would go for at least 2 to 3 days. They do the stuff we used to do growing up, like water balloon fights. Look, they would go swim in the lake. They would go fishing. They would take them out on a boat. Skipping rocks, campfires. We did talent shows. They did talent shows. We all have our tents, so it's like real rugged, rough. You know, you come with your tent, you blow up beds, everybody's sharing food and snacks. If somebody else's kids come to our tent and we got snacks, they would get it, vice versa. Pre-COVID. I just gotta throw that in there because we was doing this pre-COVID. You know, in society, they act like Black fathers don't exist, like they're unicorns. They just don't show them. Not that they all there, some of them are absent, but there are Black fathers who are still present, and not only present, but good fathers, and they don't highlight Black men enough. You know, I found that out. I was at Walmart a year or two ago, and it was Father's Day. I think I was probably getting him a gift or something. And every Black man I saw, something just was in my spirit, and I said, "A happy Father's Day." You know, if I seen them with a kid, or if I seen them as like a grandpa, I knew that they had to be a father. And do you know the response I got from Black men? They were so grateful, just because I took a moment to stop and say that. We don't realize how beaten up our Black men are, you know, on a day-to-day basis. So to just see another Black woman with her kids acknowledging another Black father, despite what society has told him he is or is not, right? It just shocked me.
You know, there's a lot of misconceptions that I think people need to hear cleared up, you know, and so for fraternities and sororities individually, what are some of those misconceptions that you can clear up right here?
I would say some of the misconceptions, and I would even say stereotypes. We are a Christian sorority, so a lot of those ideals and, you know, things have been thrown out there that, you know, Illuminati, our symbol, things like that. From my experience, there is none of that. You know, we do encourage and empower women, especially women of color, African-American women. And, you know, we're human at the end of the day too. So take that in, and knowing that we're not perfect, but that's just one that I can think of off the top of my head. So, you know, we don't condone anything that is harming our community. We're only trying to build up our community and bring our community together. But as we know, when we get together as like Black people, a lot of stigmas and stereotypes are placed on what we do from the outside looking in.
What have your children watching you do this? What do you think they're seeing? What are they learning watching you guys?
I think they see the network. They have seen it to where like they know when they see the colors or something, they're like, oh, that's family right there.
Yes.
I can feel comfortable.
That's a huge thing too. I wanted to highlight.
They know that they can run to them, and worst case scenario, if they're lost, they can say, hey, this is my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I need to get back to them, and they'll take them in and do whatever they need to do to either get them to them or to their family or something. And that's another thing, you know, that's one of the things we're huge with, you know, family networking, like you said, a village. Actually, we call it a village. We call it a village. When we get us, the wives, and the kids together, we're like, hey, this is the village. And
you see somebody in mommy's colors, she's like, that's my auntie. So now she has an extension of 1 million aunties like all over, and she's like, mommy, I seen this lady and she had your letters on. Is that my auntie? A prime example, their principal at the school that they go to is virtual right now, but she's my soror. So they feel comfortable. I feel comfortable, knowing that my kids are there and being guided by her. And they go to her and say, Mommy, I seen Principal Auntie today, so it's a huge extension of who we are. If, you're open to other things, but if you're interested in the organizations, 100% community is community. So if you see us out in the community, we are you and we're with you and we're here to help build you up. And that's really like our end all be all goal over our lifetime, is just to pay it forward. Do partner with organizations within the community, nonprofits, schools, to partner with us to do the work, because we know we can't do it alone. Even if it's a lot of us here, we still need those connections. So
what has that social unrest, that 2020 climate in general, how has that manifested itself within your organization?
To be safe and to also keep ourselves safe, we have turned to a lot of virtual just promotion for fitness. We do, fitness classes together. We're given, our youth initiatives, they're still meeting virtually because, life goes on, right? So we have to find new ways to adapt, but then also being mindful that, we are in a time of huge need just as a nation. And so we do contactless food drives. We did some of those throughout the holiday season, and just, knowing what the community needs and then seeing how we can respond while we're keeping everybody safe. I mean, we're figuring it out just like everybody else, but we're still there and we're still supporting in any way that we can.
A lot of the community as well. Actually, a lot of students over at UCR as well. They go 6 a.m. They go walking. Mm-hmm. They do the hills and trails, and they're really.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
It was amazing. The last time I did the report, because I was trying to put this community. We got to put our yearly programs and stuff, everything we did for the year, and they've lost over. Man, that's about 300-400 pounds over about 10 or 15 people.
Push. I want to throw that in there because this election was the vote of our lives.
Yes,
the stroll to the polls was a huge push by a lot of the sororities and the fraternities. They got involved too. We had, we showed up in numbers, so we were working with our communities to get people registered to vote, sending out links, sending communication so that they knew how to vote, when to vote in their areas, posting and doing social media campaigns that we're voting. So we want to have you vote too. So I don't want to leave that out, because we across D9, because as you can see, he mentioned our vice president, she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a part of our D9. We did a huge push to support her with this election, and that's across the nation. So getting people registered and voting ourselves.
I commend you guys on the impact, because it definitely showed this election.
Thank you. We all played a part in it. So you too, I'm hearing you say anybody who got out there and gave education or resources on how to get there, we all played a part. So thank you.
Thank you. And now, outside of the organization, what are your careers now? What are you guys doing for work that you found?
Well, we have, it's a journey. So I will say that, I just want to put that out there. You will go through different phases in different spaces, but currently right now, I have a master's degree in public health. I am a certified health education specialist, and I currently work as a senior health educator with the Riverside Community Health Foundation, which is a nonprofit in preventative healthcare. So to put that in simpler terms, that's a long, lengthy line, right? I work with the youth in the community for sexual and reproductive health, and also community empowerment. So I work with youth between the ages of 12 and 19 to educate them and provide resources to them all for free so that they can make informed choices about, their sexual health.
I've been in sales and management for 15 years.
Nice.
I'm actually going into project management. So I went back for a master's degree. I made a master's program. So I finished in about 4 months or so. So I'm trying.
Oh, so close.
Oh, that end is like rough, but he hanging in there.
So
hanging in there.
Yeah, project management, IT management is my newest area. Again, you see so many people doing well, and you're like, wait a minute, my aspirations are growing.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, got to get out of sales and go for something that I was a little bit more passionate about, which was technology.
For any question I have, working from home, that is something that I want to highlight too. I've been working from home this last year. In preventive healthcare, they promote our safety as well as the community safety during the pandemic. And anything I needed, he was right here. I was like, babe, you help me with this? All right, he was my home IT.
And I commend you guys on your efforts and the work you do in the community, and just overall being really great people.
Sentiments to you too. You're an amazing teacher. I try and promote you on my social medias because the work that you do, it goes unnoticed. Teachers are the backbone of our community. So I want to say thank you to you too, and watching you grow and excel, and even having us here to continue to educate you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here so much, and I can't wait for everyone to see this episode. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
You too.
Lastly, we have a story. I Promise, written by Lebron James and illustrated by Nina Mata. Find out what we can do to be the best students and people that we can be. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
I Promise by Lebron James, illustrated by Nina Mata. I promise to work hard and do what's right, to be a leader in this game of life. I promise to go to school and read as much as I can, to follow the rules and respect the game plan. I promise to run full court and show up each time, to get right back up and let my magic shine. I promise to be open and try new things and enjoy the happy that change can bring. I promise to wear a big smile and use kindness when I speak, to remain strong yet humble with every win and defeat. I promise to ask for help whenever I need it, to reach for my star even when I can't see it. I promise to ask questions and find answers, to believe in next time and second chances. I promise to use my voice and stand up for what's right, and when things get tough, to keep up the fight. I promise to stand tall, rise up, and give all that I've got, to throw the alley-oop and uplift others on the spot. I promise to respect my elders and peers the same, to leave new places better than I came. I promise to stay true, keep my head up, and never give up, no matter what. I promise to dream big and love bigger, to be a team player and a winner. I promise to cross bridges and break down walls, to rise with the sun and learn from the falls. I promise to be courageous, to be free, to strive for greatness. I promise to be me. I promise to go to school, to do all of my homework, to listen to my teachers because they will help me learn, to ask questions and find answers, to never give up no matter what,
to always try my best, to be helpful and respectful to others, to live a healthy life by eating right and being active, to make good choices for myself, to have fun, and above all else, to finish school, strive for greatness. The end.
Mas não vou sem te chamar na viagem. Espesso na viagem. Espesso na viagem. Espesso na viagem. Espesso